So this story starts out with the Bullet. I was doing a lot of racing with the car. I was having a lot of fun with it. Doing burnouts, taking it down to the racetrack almost every weekend. I was also doing a lot of preventative maintenance on the car. I bought axles for the car so I wouldn't break one at the racetrack. I was doing everything I could to make sure the car was running safe and clean. I had a performance tune for the car so that um, it would optimize the way it was running at the track with the modifications it had. But unfortunately, the tune that the car had on it was a Bama Performance Race tune, and it was way, 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 way too lean. And I didn't know it, but the car was running lean, and it was leaning out in the top of the quarter mile. And I ended up pre-detonating piston number 3. And I really feel bad that the tune ended up taking that engine because I I really liked that 4.6. It was really strong. It had 140,000 miles on it, and I was racing it all the time, and it was putting up with it. And I wanted to see how long that engine would last. So I trailered the car home, and I had my dad come over and look in the cylinder with his borescope. He found that the piston had pre-detonated, and I had to make a decision of what I was going to do with the car. I definitely didn't want to put a stock engine back in it. I wanted to upgrade. And so I started pricing performance parts out, a new block, pistons, everything, and it was going to be pretty expensive. A couple months before all this happened, there was a really nice silver GT down in Vegas for sale, and it had a brand new MMR engine in it with like 300 miles on it, and an older gentleman in town actually had bought the car, and he offered to sell it to me for $10,000, asked if I had any friends interested in it. He had just had it parked on the side of his house because he couldn't figure out how to get it to run right. He said he'd give me the car for $7,000, so I got in contact with him, asked him if he still had it, and he said, yeah, I still have it, I'll give it to you for $7,000. So I thought, that's about what it's going to cost to build an engine for this car, so I went ahead and I bought the car. So I remember driving the car home, and I looked underneath it, realized it had suspension. Under the hood it had that beautiful engine, it had brakes, it had everything you could imagine done to the car. It was a good buy. So I swapped everything into my Bullet, and I even went and bought a really nice used 4.6 stock 2-valve engine and put it back in the silver car. And this silver GT had a 410 axle in it, and my cousin wanted to do 410s in his black Bullet, so we went ahead and swapped axles, and that helped pay for the car a little bit. So you can see here all the chaos going on, a lot of engines in my garage. I even had some junkyard engines I was using some parts off of. And so I got that GT running real nice, got it all put back together, and I enjoyed daily driving it for several months. The car was beautiful. The interior was perfect, black leather. The paint was in great shape. It had a little bit of peeling on the roof, and the car was originally from Hawaii. And there was an issue though, and that was when I went to sell the car, I had a clean Carfax from the guy who sold it to me, but within the time that I had bought the car, Carfax had gotten new relations with the body shops in Hawaii, and it turned out that the car had an accident on the history, and it was a total loss, which means that the insurance paid the car off completely at one point. So that actually made it really difficult to sell the car. It scared away a few people who were interested. The fact was the car still held a clear title, but it did show a total loss on the vehicle history for being paid off by the insurance. And then what ended up happening was a guy in Vegas had his motorcycle stolen off his porch, and he wanted to replace it, and the insurance had cut him a check. And so he was a cash buyer, and I told him everything. Every person that came to look at the car, I told them about the total loss, and I showed them the paperwork from Carfax. But anyway, that didn't bother him. He just wanted a nice car to drive, and especially because he'd traveled to California and he wanted something with a V8 to go up and down the hills. And he really liked the car, and he paid me what I was asking for it, and I about broke even on the car. I still had some money in the dyno tune and other things that I had to pay on the Bullet to get it running, but I basically broke even, and so I thought it was a really good experience. It's a really fun story, beautiful car. I was really happy to own it for the time that I did, and so I can add that car to one of the cars I've owned, and I think it's a great story. So Thanks for watching.